If this video found you, you are ready. You are about to learn a forbidden technique that was hidden in plain sight. The initiates called it the Udjat Code, a simple way to awaken the inner eye that sees what ordinary vision cannot. And the most surprising part? Your body has already been trying to use it. The chill for no reason, the tug in your gut, the sense that something is off even when everything looks fine. Those are not symptoms. They are signals that perception is already piercing the veil. By the end of this video, you will run the 7-breath sequence yourself and feel how attention, breath, and stillness lock together like a key in a door. No crystals, no costumes, just a precise rhythm you can do anywhere. If this video found you, it is because you are ready to remember how to see. Before we open the code, you need to understand one thing. You already live between two worlds, the visible one that everyone agrees on, and the hidden one that moves it. When you learn to notice both at the same time, reality stops arguing with you. It starts revealing itself. You will not be asked to believe anything. Test it with me in real time and decide by experience. In a few minutes, we will unlock the focus point behind the eyes, run the forbidden cadence, and step into the quiet gap where the mind pauses and vision begins. Stay with me. The door is already opening. The moment you were born, you were placed between two overlapping layers of reality. The first is the obvious one, physical, measurable, full of edges and weight, clocks and calendars, traffic lights and receipts. The second is quieter. It does not push. It whispers. It shows up as a pause before a decision, a shiver in a room that looks perfectly normal, a dream that seems to spill into the next day. Most people dismiss that layer as imagination, but imagination is simply perception that has not been given permission yet. The ancients had names for the hidden side. Some called it the ether, the subtle field, the unseen current. In Egypt, they spoke of the Duat, not only a land of the dead, but a dimension where patterns are shaped before they become events. The Greeks contrasted what the senses report with what the mind can know. Different cultures, same message. The visible world is the surface of a deeper movement. You already feel this. Think of moments when time seemed to slow, as if the scene thickened and you could sense the next beat before it arrived, or that quiet certainty that a place or a person carried a mood that words could not capture. The body reacts second. The field around the body knew first. The rational mind explains later. A subtler awareness had already turned its head. When you ignore the second layer, life becomes noisy and narrow. You argue with shadows on the wall and call it reality. When you let attention straddle both at once, you stop being pushed around by appearances. Patterns become visible. Intentions glow. Choices get lighter because the signal-to-noise ratio changes in your favor. This is not a demand to abandon reason. It is an invitation to refine it. The inner eye does not replace your eyes. It completes them. Like a pilot switching on an instrument panel in fog, you gain another channel of data. Not mystical fireworks. Quiet clarity that arrives without drama. If you want a simple test, watch what happens in the few seconds before sleep. There is a soft corridor between waking and dreaming where pictures appear with your eyes closed. That corridor is a natural doorway into the hidden layer. You have walked through it thousands of times without noticing. The Udjat Code teaches you how to notice and then how to stay. Why does this matter? Because the quality of your perception is the quality of your life. When you can sense the current under the surface, you stop reacting to every wave on top. You negotiate better. You listen deeper, you choose cleaner, and you begin to feel guided, not by superstition, but by information you use to filter out. In a moment, I will show you how we train that perception, not by adding more, but by removing what drowns it out. First, we will learn the 3 elements that make the code work. Then, we will run the sequence together. In Egypt, the symbol for this capacity was the Eye of Horus, a healed eye, not a charm on a wall, but a reminder that vision can be restored when attention, breath, and stillness align. You do not have to adopt a belief. You only have to practice a rhythm until the signal becomes obvious. In 60 seconds, we begin to build the key. You have crossed the threshold more times than you remember. It happens in the spaces no one taught you to notice. The instant you sense a room feels wrong before anyone speaks. The way your skin cools when someone's intention does not match their smile. The tug in your gut that says, wait, even while your calendar says go. Those are not glitches. They are messages. Your perception is reaching past surfaces and catching the outline of something beneath. Think about dreams. With your eyes closed, entire scenes appear. Faces, colors, places you have never visited. No lamp is on, no lens is open, and yet you see. That is not fantasy. That is function. It is vision without the eyes, a built-in channel that keeps working when the outer lights go down. Children use it naturally. They stare into what adults call nothing, giggle at corners that feel empty to everyone else, talk to presences we cannot name. Then school arrives, and we are trained to privilege the measurable over the meaningful. We call the second world imagination, and with a single label, we mute a living instrument. But the instrument never broke. It went quiet, waiting for your attention. Notice how time behaves in certain moments. You drop a glass and somehow have the space to catch it. A conversation turns, and before words are chosen, you already know where it is heading. The mind will later construct reasons. The body will later perform actions. Perception moved first. Like a radar ping, it swept the field and returned with a direction. Stop, speak, turn, leave, stay. You do not need to exile logic to honor this. You only need to allow a second kind of data. The inner eye does not show you movie magic. It sharpens context. It reveals when a room is open or closed, when a promise carries weight or is only air. It edits noise. It makes choices cleaner because it removes the static that fogs them. If part of you doubts this, good. Doubt is a sign you are awake. Do not argue with it. Test it. Tonight, watch the few breaths before sleep. There is a soft corridor between waking and dreaming. Pictures will begin to glow behind your eyelids. Do not chase them. Just notice that seeing is happening without eyes. That is the doorway. The Udjat Code does not invent that doorway. It teaches you how to stand in it on purpose, with breath and attention aligned. Stay here with me. In the next section, we will name why this technique was hidden and why a simple rhythm can flip the switch back on. For most of history, instructions like this did not live in manuals. They lived in symbols and songs, carved into stone and folded into prayers, visible to everyone and legible to almost no one. The reason was not drama. It was safety. Perception is power. In unsteady hands, power becomes confusion. So the teachings were wrapped, disguised as stories about eyes and light, about a falcon's gaze that misses nothing, about a path that runs through silence instead of noise. That is where the name comes from. The Udjat, The eye restored. Not a trinket. A reminder that vision can be healed. Scribes and keepers spoke in codes because a code forces you to participate. You cannot receive this passively. You must bring breath, attention, and stillness to the same point at the same time. When those three line up, a locked door clicks. The field you have been grazing your whole life stops being a rumor and starts being a signal. Why call it forbidden? Because mass culture prefers what can be sold, measured, and displayed. Inner vision does not photograph well. It does not make a spectacle. It makes decisions. It helps you feel the intention under the offer, the pattern under the event, the next right action instead of the loudest impulse. That is threatening to any system that runs on distraction, so the method was left in plain sight, disguised as ornament, the eye painted on boats, etched on amulets, floating above temple gates, while the operating instructions remained in the air between teacher and student. Remember this: there is no object to buy and no secret word to memorize. The code is a cadence. When you breathe in a specific rhythm, hold attention in a specific place, and allow a specific kind of silence to bloom, the nervous system shifts state. Brain waves reorganize. The body steadies. Perception stops skidding across the surface and begins to sink into what is underneath. In a few minutes, I will guide you through the 7-breath sequence that turns the key. It is not exotic. It is exact. If you can count to 7, you can do it. You will not be asked to believe anything. You will feel the difference, and when the door opens, even a crack, you will understand why the code was hidden and why it never needed to be secret to remain unseen. In 60 seconds, we set the focus. There is a point behind your forehead where attention naturally comes to rest when you stop pushing it around. Some traditions map it between the eyebrows, others slightly deeper, behind the bones of the brow. Do not turn this into anatomy. Think of it as a seat, a small, steady place where looking turns into sensing. When your awareness sits there, the nervous system changes tone. Thoughts keep passing, but they stop dragging you by the collar. The room feels the same, yet somehow clearer, like someone wiped a fogged pane of glass. Test it now without effort. Let your eyes soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breath fall into its own pace. Place your attention, lightly, at the center of your forehead, as if you were listening from there instead of from your ears. Do not try to feel anything special. Notice the texture of the moment. For some, it is a faint warmth. For others, a subtle pressure, a quiet buzzing, or nothing at all. All of those are fine. What matters is that attention has a home. Where attention goes, the body follows. Where the body settles, the mind stops skidding. Why this point? Because it is neutral ground. It is not a story about the past or a worry about the future. It does not ask you to analyze, fix, or perform. It asks you to notice. When you notice from here, your field of view changes. Background noise that used to run your day drops a few decibels. Little intentions that people carry become easier to read. The next right action feels less like a guess and more like a click. This is not hypnosis. You are not spacing out. You are tuning in. The Udjat, eye restored, is a symbol for this recentering. Not a mystical beam from your head, but the return of a simple capacity to sense the layer under the surface before you explain it. That is why the code is a cadence, not a belief. Breath gives the body a rhythm it trusts. Attention gives the rhythm a direction. Silence gives both the space to meet. In a moment, we will align these three and run the 7-breath sequence together. For now, remember one instruction: light attention, steady breath, no forcing. The inner eye opens the way a pupil opens in the dark, gradually, by relaxing its grip. When you stop squinting at reality, reality stops squinting back. Stay with me. In 60 seconds, we begin the code. Before we turn the key, we build the hand that turns it. 3 elements make the code work: silence, breath, and attention. Think of them as strands of one rope. Alone they help. Twined together, they pull. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the absence of commentary. A small clearing appears when you do not chase the next thought. You have tasted it 1,000 times. The pause after an exhale, the blank before a reply, the soft moment when a view steals your words. In that clearing, perception stands upright. You are still yourself, still awake, still here, just not buried under the running narration. 2 seconds of this silence change the flavor of a decision. 10 seconds can change the direction of a conversation. With practice, the gap widens on its own, not because you fight for it, but because the system learns it is safe to relax. Breath is the bridge. You are doing it anyway. When breath slows and deepens, the body reads that you are not under threat and shifts gears. Heart, gut, and head begin to move in step. The mental static that makes everything feel urgent drops away. You do not need exotic tricks. 3 slow inhalations that fill the ribs sideways. 3 uninterrupted exhalations that empty without collapse. The chemistry of the moment changes. That is why the code lives in a 7-breath rhythm. Long enough to signal safety, short enough to do anywhere. Breath does not force insight. It invites it by opening the window and letting the air turn over. Attention is the lens. Most days it sprays like a sprinkler. Emails, headlines, glances, half-thoughts. Sprayed attention wets everything and waters nothing. Directed attention is a thin stream. Aim it and it cuts. Place that stream at the center of the forehead and keep it there gently. You stop feeding distractions and start feeding perception. This is not strain. Strain is gripping. Direction is kindness. If your focus slips, do not scold it. Return it, like placing a glass back on a table. Every return polishes the lens. Every return teaches the system where home is. Together, the pillars cooperate. Breath sets the tempo. Silence makes room inside the beat. Attention chooses where the music points. After a minute of this, the inner eye does not need to be imagined. It begins to function. Colors look a hair cleaner. Words feel heavier or lighter before they are said. The next step becomes obvious or obviously wrong. If you doubt any of this, you do not have to solve your doubt. Give it company while you test. Doubt can sit beside you and breathe too. Fear can sit beside you and breathe too. Impatience can roll its eyes while you keep the cadence. Nothing in you has to be exiled to proceed. In a few breaths, we will use this rope to open the door. I will count you through the 7-beat sequence the initiates wrapped in symbols and left in plain sight. You will not need a mantra or a posture. You will need a chair, a spine that is not slumped, and a willingness to be ordinary for 1 minute. Ordinary is where the code hides, because ordinary is where life happens. When ordinary becomes clear, the unseen stops being a rumor. Sit with your spine easy and upright. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tongue rest lightly on the roof of the mouth. Close your eyes or soften them. Place your attention lightly at the center of your forehead. No forcing, no performance. I will count you through 7 breaths. With each breath, we align silence, breath, and attention. If you feel nothing, that is fine. Feeling is not the goal. Alignment is. Breath 1. Entrance. Inhale slowly, as if drawing air along the inside of your skin. Let it fill the ribs sideways, not high into the chest. Exhale unhurriedly and picture the day's weight leaving your shoulders. Let your jaw loosen. Let your belly soften. You are stepping off the street and into a quiet room. Breath 2. Gathering. Inhale and let a soft light pool at the center of your forehead, behind the brow. Do not push it there. Invite it there. Exhale and picture a light mist clearing from around you, like fog lifting at dawn. If you sense nothing, name the step anyway. Gather. Breath 3. Whole body. Inhale as if every cell can taste the air. Feel the ribs widen, the back broaden, the pelvis get heavy. Exhale and let hidden tension drain down the spine and out through the soles of your feet. More room inside your skin. Breath 4. Threshold. Inhale and keep attention resting at the center of the forehead. You might notice warmth, pressure, a faint buzz, or nothing at all. Exhale and give up the urge to measure the moment. Thresholds open to presence. Breath 5. Timelessness. Inhale and let the edges of time loosen, as if the next second is not chasing you. Exhale and watch the room grow a little quieter without changing. If judgment appears, let it breathe with you. Breath 6. Surrender. Inhale and allow the body to conduct itself, like an instrument tuning back to pitch. Exhale and stop managing the process. Soft attention. Steady breath. No story. Breath 7. Silence. Inhale and feel the system floating. Exhale and do nothing at the bottom. Let there be a pause, not a held breath, a breath not in a hurry to return. In that pause, the inner eye opens the way a pupil opens in the dark, gradually, without spectacle. Now keep the same easy cadence without counting. Light attention at the brow, breath moving like a slow tide. Commentary dimmed. Notice small things. Colors in the mind's darkness, a sense of space behind the face, the body sitting itself without orders. Do not chase any of it. Let it pass like weather. If emotion rises, it can pass through. If a memory knocks, let it knock. The point is not to become special. The point is to become clear. You may feel a subtle click, as if something that used to slip past you has turned to face you. You may feel nothing at all and only realize later that a decision became simple or a conversation felt transparent. Both are valid. The code is not a show. It is a setting. Once set, it continues in the background while you live. Open your eyes gently if they were closed. Keep a strand of attention resting at the center of your forehead while you look around the room. Let your breath remain unhurried. The ritual is complete for now. In a moment, you will meet the guardians that appear when people step across a threshold. They are not monsters. They are old habits wearing armor. When perception sharpens, the first thing you notice is not angels. It is friction. 4 guardians stand near every new doorway: doubt, fear, impatience, and the spiritual ego. They are not enemies. They test whether you will stay aligned when the old rhythm calls you back. Doubt arrives as a question that feels smarter than you. Is any of this real, or am I fooling myself? Doubt is useful when it asks for evidence. It is sabotage when it demands guarantees. Feed it the only evidence that matters here: repeated experience. Give doubt a seat and let it breathe while you practice. When the mind asks for proof, offer the ritual again. The body will answer. Fear wears the mask of control.